You know, in manufacturing, it's so easy to mistake being busy for being in business. But are they the same thing? Today, we're going to cut right through all that noise with a super powerful metric called Overall Equipment Effectiveness, or OEE for short. You can think of it as the ultimate scorecard for productivity. All right, let's jump in.
So let's kick things off with this big question. Is being busy really the same as being productive? I mean, you walk onto a factory floor, it's humming, things are moving, people are working. It's so easy to think, wow, we're crushing it. But what if all that activity, all that motion, isn't actually turning into real results? That's the exact puzzle we're going to solve today.
Okay, so picture this. You're the manager, you're walking the line on your factory floor. On the surface, everything looks great. The machines are running, your team is hard at work. It just feels productive, you know?
The lights are on, you hear the noise, you see all the movement, but then the monthly reports hit your desk, and the numbers just don't add up. Output is somehow down, profits are down. Why? It's the super frustrating mystery, and it's exactly what OEE was created to solve.
And this is where OEE makes its grand entrance. The best way to think about it? It's like a brutally honest scorecard. It doesn't care how busy you look. It only measures how effective you actually are. OEE is here to pull back the curtain and show you the hidden truth behind your real productivity.
So, what is it like officially? Well, OEE measures your equipment's performance, but here's the key, and this is a really critical point. It's only measured during your scheduled operating time. So if you're closed on nights and weekends, we're not counting that. We are only grading you during game time. That's it.
But listen, OEE isn't just about getting a grade and feeling good or bad about it. Not at all. It's a really powerful diagnostic tool. It's specifically designed to pinpoint your biggest losses, to help you track your improvement efforts, and maybe most importantly, to get teams like operations and maintenance talking and solving problems together.
Okay, so how do we get to this powerful number? Well, you know what? It's actually a lot simpler than you might think. It really just boils down to 3 key ingredients. And here it is, the master formula. Your OEE score is just your availability score times your performance score times your quality score. That's it. But here's the catch. A weakness in just one of these areas will totally sink your overall score. To make this super clear, let's use a simple analogy. Let's pretend you run a busy coffee shop, and your big moneymaker is this fancy high-end espresso machine. We're going to figure out the OEE for that machine.
All right, first up, availability. The question here is really simple. During your 10-hour workday, how much of that time was the espresso machine actually on and ready to go? Ready to make coffee. If it was down for an hour for cleaning, or worse because it broke down, well, your availability score takes a big hit.
So, to put it formally, that's your availability score. It's the percentage of your scheduled time that your machine is actually operational. And this is the foundation, right? If the machine isn't available, nothing else even matters.
Okay, next up is performance. Let's say your espresso machine at top speed can pump out 100 shots an hour. But today, maybe your barista is moving a little slow, or the beans aren't grinding right, and you're only managing to make 80 shots an hour. That 20-shot gap, that's a performance loss, plain and simple.
And that's your performance score. It's all about measuring how close you are to your equipment's absolute top speed. It basically answers the question, how fast are we actually going compared to how fast could we be going?
And last but not least, we have quality. So think about those 80 espresso shots you made in that hour. What if 10 of them were just bad? Burnt, bitter, you had to throw them straight in the trash. Those 10 bad shots, that's a quality loss. You spent the time, you used the expensive beans, but you got absolutely zero value from it.
And that's the final piece of our OEE puzzle, quality. It's simply the percentage of good units you make out of the total you attempted. It's a measure of perfection, really. You only get credit for the stuff that actually meets the standard.
Okay, so you've done the math. You've calculated your availability, your performance, and your quality, and you've multiplied them all together to get your OEE score. The very next question on your mind is probably, so is that score any good?
Well, across a whole bunch of industries, 85% is considered the gold standard. That's a world-class OEE score. And I know, 85% might not sound that high, but trust me, getting there is incredibly difficult. Why? Because it means you have to be excellent in all 3 categories at the same time.
Now, that 85% target isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. For something like batch manufacturing,
yeah, 85 is world-class. But if you're talking about a continuous process, like in a chemical plant or something, the target can be way up at 95%. And that's because those kinds of operations are literally designed for maximum nonstop uptime.
So how on earth do you even get to that 85% score? Well, the math is tough. It demands that you be absolutely rock solid everywhere. Typically, you're going to need your availability to be over 90%. You got to be running at over 95% of your top speed. And your quality, it has to be almost perfect. We're talking over 99%. As you can see, there is very, very little room for error.
Okay, before we wrap this up, I want to share a few really important rules of thumb for using OEE the right way. It's an amazing tool, but like any powerful tool, it can be misused if you're not careful.
This is probably the most important part. OEE is a tool for internal improvement. Use it to track how one machine gets better over time. What it's not for is comparing two totally different machines. That's like comparing apples and oranges. And please remember, a low score is not just a maintenance problem. It could be caused by operations, or the supply chain, or even engineering. It is truly a team metric.
Now, you might also hear about two different flavors of OEE. The one we've been talking about this whole time is sometimes called OEE2. That's the one that only looks at your scheduled production time. But there's also an OEE1, which measures your performance across all available time, 24/7, whether you were scheduled to run or not. Honestly, for most people, starting with the classic version we discussed, OEE2 is the best way to go. And this really gets to the heart of the whole thing. The job of OEE isn't to be a report card that makes you feel good or bad. Its real purpose is to identify and categorize your major losses. It's like a giant spotlight that shines on your biggest problems, showing you exactly where you need to focus your energy to get better.
So just remember, OEE is so much more than a metric. It's really a compass. It tells you exactly where you are right now, and it points you in the direction you need to go. It gives you the score, sure, but it's up to you and your team to use that information to really change the game. Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer.